Dynamic Sports Corner. I am your host, Glenn Kaplan. We are live in Baltimore, Maryland, home of the Baltimore Orioles and the Baltimore Ravens. Who's excited for today's show? Folks, I'm glad to be back today after missing Monday's show. And we're locked and loaded. And hope you're all having a good week. Use promo code 12OZ Sports, all cash with deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. We start off with breaking news. The Week 4 game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans has been postponed because of the Tennessee Titans coronavirus outbreak. And I've seen a bunch of crazy nonsense this morning from Steelers fans alike, saying, oh this, oh that, forfeit this, forfeit that. And I've been coming all after them. Folks, this isn't the first time. Yes, it's a first-time issue in the NFL this year. I'll get to that scheduling sequence in a minute. But this is the second time in the sports year that there's been an issue with Minnesota. The St. Louis Cardinals had the same effect when they were flying back from Minnesota, and you didn't freaking call them to be postponed or whatever. But you want to tell the Tennessee Titans they got to postpone their game, forfeit or whatever else. And you all got a problem with it. Sheesh. Just let me say this. I advised the teams while I looked at the Vikings schedule. There could only be one team that could maybe drive is Detroit. I think there is a problem within the airlines or in the airport in Minnesota. I mean, it has to be. The Vikings and the Twins didn't have issues. Why do the road teams? Has to be an airline or a ventilation issue when they go on airplanes. Maybe it's my dad. We were talking about it this morning too. Maybe it's a hotel problem. I think it's an airline issue. I don't think it's a hotel issue. I think it's an airline problem. So, let's see. Pittsburgh and Baltimore is scheduled to have a bye week 8, Tennessee week 7. Probably going to be Pittsburgh, Baltimore is supposed to play week 7. They'll push that back to week 8. Probably have Pittsburgh, Tennessee play 7. Have this Pittsburgh the bye week, even though they're going to be practicing this morning. Also, speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, Marlon Humphrey gets a 5-year, $98.5 million contract extension. Is now in the same ballpark as Jalen Ramsey. The Los Angeles Rams gets that money. All right? Moving on. Folks, doesn't it feel good to be right? As I've said right before the beginning of the NHL season started, that the Tampa Bay Lightning were going to be your Stanley Cup champions. And folks, they did it. And for the third time in 5 years, baby, I have predicted the Stanley Cup winner right. 2016, the Pittsburgh Penguins got that right. 2017, the Pittsburgh Penguins got that right. 2018, I picked the Pittsburgh Penguins again, but then that was the Washington Capitals. 2019, I picked the Toronto Maple Leafs, and boy, I've never trusted them ever again, probably most likely. And that was when the St. Louis Blues won the Stanley Cup. And now I'm right here with the Tampa Bay Lightning for the third time in 5 years doing sports writing, sports radio, whatever you want to call it. I've sniffed it out one way or another. And no, I haven't got anything else right when it comes to the NBA, NHL, or MLB for some odd reason. And I know someone told me once upon a time that never call yourself guru, which I'm not going to be doing here because it seems like to be a jinx. But I guess it is what it is. But let's get to the story of the Tampa Bay Lightning. You lose last year, you get embarrassed, you win the President's Trophy. You get swept out by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Then you win the first 2 games of round-robin play, you lose to the Philadelphia Flyers, get the 2 seed. Knock out the Columbus Blue Jackets in 5. Knock out the Boston Bruins in 5. Knock out the New York Islanders in 6. and then defeat the Dallas Stars in Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals 2-0. So, this was the first time since the 2004 season that the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions when they defeated the Calgary Flames in 7 games. Oh, and the Tampa Bay Lightning, I watched some of that championship parade with the boat parades. I didn't think that was moving still until, Steven Stamkos, Victor Hedman, you better believe all those fans. We're having such a great time there. And I absolutely love what Alex Killorn said. Alex Killorn's like, thank you, Governor DeSantis, for opening up all the bars in the state of Florida just in time. I mean, I get it, you're in the party mode. And I know some people are, think he's tone deaf for what's going on. I get it. But it's Alex Killorn. You won the Stanley Cup. I get it. It doesn't seem like it happens in Florida, right? So, let's get to Game 6. All right. So, in that Game 6, Braden Point, 12:23 in, a power play goal assisted by Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman. Second period, Blake Coleman on a one-timer, 7:01. Assisted by Cedric Paquette and Patrick Maroon. First goal, 12:23. Second goal, 7:01 in the second period. All goals are only scored in first and second, not the third. Andrei Vasilevsky, 22 saves for the Tampa Bay Lightning. First shutout of the postseason, though, nonetheless. Anton Khudobin finished the game with 27 saves for the Dallas Stars, though, nonetheless. He hits free agency. Dallas Stars played very well. And what else about this Stanley Cup run is fascinating? Let's see. Victor Hedman wins the Conn Smythe. What do I say about that one? Braden Point was robbed. I get it. You want to give it to a defenseman who scored 10 goals. That's very rare. I understand how hard that is for a defenseman to do it. But let's just go back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Without him playing, they don't win. They don't get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Just remember that. They were 4-0 with him, 0-2 without him. And no, that's not a fake stat. As I've said, with the Islanders in the previous series as well. They were 4-0 playing the Flyers in regulation, 0-3 when they went to overtime with Philadelphia and New York. So, you could have had Nikita Kucherov also. They gave it to Victor Hedman and then Andrei Vasilevsky. Here's the thing about Steven Stamkos, the Harvey Hartzell of your Tampa Bay Lightning, the captain. And here's what I said. I was like to my dad, I said, you got to see that. I'm like, Stamkos is 30 years old. Yeah, I know he's young. Dude's got all the injury. He's injury prone. Yeah, he's got 4 more years left on his contract. No one hates him, really. But don't you think he wants to ride off into the sunset? If you had all the injuries, you're the captain, you've been playing hockey, you have all the injuries nag you, isn't this how you want to walk out? Now, I'm not trying to force Stamkos into retirement. Now, I know that, but you just got to be wondering, does Stamkos retire? Yeah, it'd probably be a shocker to people. But it's not like he's a bad team. He's obviously not a bad teammate. He's a very fun guy. He's one of the best players in the league when he's healthy. So, this team could go back-to-back, but there are reasons why I have my doubts with it. And in just a minute, I will get into the odds for next season. So, John Cooper, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, wore the University of Virginia men's basketball hat, and Nikita Kucherov thought it was a baseball cap or whatever sorts. Because, remember when Virginia lost to UMBC? And then they came back to beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders the next year. When the Cavaliers lost to Retrievers and then beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It was like redemption. And Kevin Shattenkirk, the defenseman for Tampa Bay, is like, yeah, we got a redemption. That was their source of inspiration. And they did it. That's why I thought they were going to win it all. And then Captain Steven Stamkos only played 2 minutes and 47 seconds in these finals in Game 3. He did score a goal. He's only 30 years old. As I've just said, would he contemplate retirement for having the next 4 years? Obviously, Victor Hedman averaged over 30 minutes a game easily when he played. So with 247 with Stamkos and then 30 minutes by Victor Hedman. Let's see. Let's see who else gets some credit for this hockey team. General Manager Julien Brisebois. Former Tampa Bay Lightning and current Detroit Red Wings General Manager Steve Yzerman. He's a Detroit Red Wing great. He's going to trying to build that team from the ground up. Detroit has been in shambles. It's great for the league when Detroit's good. He's going to build that team up. He should have been invited. Steve Yzerman. That's a guy that should have been invited to the parade. That's a guy. Steve Yzerman deserves credit for his success. And current owner Jeffrey Vinnick. And boy, did you see it. I don't know how many watched the parade. But did Nikita Kucherov and other players chant Jeffrey at the parade? I don't ever see players chanting their owners' names at the championship parade. Man, they must party different down in Tampa Bay, Florida. They must really party different. I'm telling ya. And then you also got Sarasota and some other towns nearby. I'm telling you. If you like in the Sarasota, St. Petersburg, Tampa Bay area, it's like, party it up! Yes, Tampa Bay. And now you got championship fever, potentially Tampa Bay Rays and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, let me move on from this. What does the NHL offseason look like ahead? One of the first things that has been rumored to start the offseason is the availability of Patrick Laine, Winnipeg Jets player. There are three teams that immediately come to mind. Philadelphia Flyers, New York Islanders, and Carolina Hurricanes. So I have made 3 mock trade offers. Here we go. The Philadelphia Flyers acquire Laine. Winnipeg Jets acquire Nolan Patrick, Shane Gottisbehere, Isaac Ratcliffe, Cam York, and 2 first-round picks. New York Islanders acquire Patrick Laine. So, the Winnipeg Jets acquire Nick Leddy, Sebastian Aho, Travis St. Dennis, Oliver Wahlstrom, Otto Kavulia. They would probably hang on to Simon Holmstrom. I don't think he'd be a part of this trade. And a first-round pick. Another key... And then for the Hurricanes, Kalane for Jake Gardner, Martin Necas, 2 first-round picks, Jake Bean, and Patrick Puistola. And then, Waddell, the general manager for the Carolina Hurricanes, is also on the phone about Jesse Puljujarvi, nonetheless. And then, Montreal Canadiens defenseman Jeff Petrie re-signed a 4-year deal worth $6.25 million with the Montreal Canadiens, and that's a team that you may have to look out for next year. Oh, speaking of looking out for teams next year, let me get back to the Stanley Cup odds. Yikes, I almost forgot. Here we go. Tampa Bay Lightning, Colorado Avalanche. Plus 800, so those 2 teams are the favorites. That was my preseason Stanley Cup Finals pick. And maybe I'll have to redo it again next year to see what happens in the offseason. Expect somewhere to between, I saw a report, 52 to 56, maybe 60 games, my Uncle Frank was telling me. So, Vegas Golden Knights plus 1,000, Boston Bruins plus 1,150, Philadelphia Flyers plus 1,300, Pittsburgh Penguins and Washington Capitals plus 1,500, St. Louis Blues plus 1,700, Toronto Maple Leafs plus 1,800. I think that's way too high. Dallas plus 2,000. Edmonton, Dallas 2,000 plus 2,000. The Dallas Stars plus 2,000. I'm trying to get all these right, excuse me. Edmonton Oilers plus 2,100. Carolina Hurricanes plus 2,200. Nashville Predators 2,500. Calgary New York Islanders 3,000. Florida, Calgary Flames New York Islanders 3,000. Florida Panthers and New York Rangers 3,200. Vancouver and Winnipeg. Vancouver Canucks and Winnipeg Jets 3,500. I think the Vancouver Canucks skyrocket this list. San Jose Sharks 3,700. I think they're going to drop Columbus Blue Jackets 4,000. Chicago Blackhawks 4,500. Los Angeles Kings. San Jose Sharks, 3,700. Columbus Blue Jackets, 4,000. Chicago Blackhawks, 4,500. They could maybe skyrocket a tad. Los Angeles Kings, Minnesota Wild, Montreal Canadiens, 5,000. Kings and Canadiens may go up, Wild may go down. Anaheim Ducks, Arizona Coyotes, and Buffalo Sabres, 5,500. Buffalo might drop. Anaheim might stick the same. Arizona could go up a little bit. New Jersey Devils, 7,500. I think that's where they belong. They could drop. I don't know if they would get higher. Ottawa Senators, 15,000. I'm not sure if they're going to drop. They might be where they are. Detroit Red Wings plus 25,000. New Jersey Devils plus 75,000. Ottawa Senators plus 15,000. Detroit Red Wings plus 25,000. So let's see. We'll see what the bettors decide to do next year, right? And I think it's time for a rebuild in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's officially time for the Pittsburgh Penguins to rebuild. General Manager Jim Rutherford traded Patrick Hornquist for centerman centerman Colton Scavera and defenseman Mike Matheson. You add more money to your salary cap. I just think he's running the team in the ground like he did with the Carolina Hurricanes. I would rip him more into a lot of this right now, but I'm not going to. He's going to make a lot more trades. Matt Murray. And then you got to figure out what to do with Chris Letang and Jack Johnson. You just better figure this thing out, because I'm telling you, I think they've hit their ceiling. We got to see how it happens. Next. But before I get into my next segment, I just think that Sidney Crosby, RP Arnsold, the Pittsburgh Penguins, he's just got to carry more on his back and hope guys like Nathan Legard, Samuel Poulin crack the roster, develop him, and that develop them, become like Jay Gunsel clones. I mean, that's what you got to hope for with the Pittsburgh Penguins, because they're getting older. The Washington Capitals and the Boston Bruins are also getting older. So those are three teams in the East that are getting older, but they're probably still going to find a way in the playoffs to shorten season, because the lower tier teams in the East are still kind of rebuilding a little bit. So the MLB postseason. Let's see. So who has advanced from this 3-game wildcard playoff? Tampa Bay Rays sweep the Toronto Blue Jays. Houston Astros sweep the Minnesota Twins. And the New York Yankees sweep the Cleveland Indians. All right. Let's see. Oh my God. Oh God, I'm choking on this water. Sponsored by the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Indians, because these two teams, time and time again, choke in the playoffs. The Minnesota Twins have lost 18 straight. The Minnesota Twins had no idea how to win in the playoffs. I thought they were going to beat the under 500 Houston Astros. Folks, Minnesota Twins got a playoff curse on them. And this is why postseason experience matters. The Astros, yeah, say what you want about them cheating. Folks, they've been there before, and Carlos Correa's right. And that's number one. Number two. Yes, there's no more than a choke garnished by the mistake by the lake and the Cleveland Indians. Folks, the Cleveland Indians I don't know. They've lost what, 10? They've lost like 10 straight elimination games? Dude, I mean, come on. Shane Bieber, the AL Cy Young, choked. And then they choked in the 9th inning. Their bullpen choked. I mean, excuse me. You want me to choke on my water again? You want me to choke on my water again? Because I could do another impersonation of the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Indians. Actually, I should find a toy that says choke and hazard. Warning. Cleveland Indians and Minnesota Twin toys. Warning. Choking hazard. Folks, and I know there was a rain delay in that New York Yankees Cleveland Indians game. I don't know what time the game ended. It was 7-7 in the bottom of the 8th when I went to bed. And it was 9-8 going to the top of the ninth. Gary Sanchez ties the game with sack fly. DJ LeMahieu on a single. Not LeMahieu. Delino DeShields had 2 errors. I'm sorry. If Terry Francona cannot come back due to health problems, you better get a new manager because Sandy Alamar's not your answer. Oh man. Yeah, you want to tell me? This guy is, you want to tell me? Come on. Choke artist in the 216. Yes, I said it. And I went with that area code. You better believe that the 216 is a bunch of choke artists. And now you have the Cleveland Browns. And they're going to find a way to choke or something. You want to tell me? The Cleveland Indians have all this talent. And I got a text message from a Cleveland Indians fan calling the organization cheap. Miserly. I'm just saying the miserly part because of the whole SpongeBob thing with him and Mr. Krabs. There's a line, I don't remember what episode it was, but he's cheap. Miserly. I just felt like I needed to say it. I don't know, maybe he's begging for new owners, my friend, who's a Cleveland Indians fan. Well, the New York Mets got new owners. When it comes from, as we say, we're moving on from the Wilpons, or should I say the Coupons. And hello to Uncle Stevie. Maybe, and my Indians fan friend said, they would be the best organization in baseball if they had not cheap owners. Maybe he has a point with the, he has a point because they dropped all these good pitchers and they have decent hitters, but they can't sign them. Oh, Francisco Lindor, the shortstop's a free agent. And he's probably not coming back. New York Mets and the New York Yankees are for sure going to be in play for him. Absolutely, relatively, no questions asked about that one. And I'm going to chant it. Get it done, Uncle Stevie. Sign Francisco Lindor for the New York Mets, but also the New York Yankees will be in play as well. So, let's see who else can advance today. The Oakland Athletics, that's in there in the Game 3 against Chicago White Sox. The Atlanta Braves could advance against the Cincinnati Reds. The St. Louis Cardinals could advance against the San Diego Padres. The Miami Marlins could advance against the Chicago Cubs. And the Los Angeles Dodgers could advance against the Milwaukee Brewers. So because I didn't have a show on Monday, I'm just going to tell you very quickly. I got to get moving along because I got to get to my NFL preview. So, Race series, I would have gotten that right. I would have picked Minnesota over Houston. I would have picked Cleveland over the Yankees. I picked Oakland to beat Chicago White Sox. I would pick Atlanta to beat Cincinnati, St. Louis over San Diego. I would beat the Chicago Cubs over the Miami Marlins and Los Angeles Dodgers over the Milwaukee Brewers. So, NBA Finals preview, number 5 seed, Miami Heat versus number 1 seed, Los Angeles Lakers. The Miami Heat are playing with house money in this series, and they have nothing to lose. The Los Angeles Lakers are playing with everything to lose. This could be a potential mismatch of very quick NBA Finals. If that's the case, the Lakers will win. The longer the series goes, the more confident the Heat will have in it. How each team got here, Miami Heat defeated the Indiana Pacers in 4 games in the first round, defeated the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games in the second round, and defeated the Boston Celtics in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. Potential NBA Finals MVP candidates: Tyler Herro, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. X Factors: Goran Dragic, Andre Iguodala, Duncan Robinson. Los Angeles Lakers defeated Portland Trailblazers 5 games in the first round, defeated the Houston Rockets in 5 games in the second round, and defeated Denver Nuggets in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals. Potential NBA Finals MVP candidates: LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Rajon Rondo. Potential X Factors: Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Danny Green, and Kyle Kuzma. The series itself: Eric Spoelstra will look to use matchup zones and frustrate this basketball team. Pat Riley also wants revenge on LeBron James for what he did for when he decided to bolt Miami in the 2014 offseason to go back home to Cleveland Cavaliers. Riley is in the front office and James is out with the Lakers. He remembers that in the back of his head, and the Lakers want to win this for Kobe Bean Bryant. Frank Vogel's a solid head coach, and he knows what's at stake for this franchise. This is the first time since 2014 that Miami's here, and this is the first time since 2010 that Los Angeles is here. The Heat lost to the San Antonio Spurs in 5 games that season, but last won it all in the previous season in 7 games against the same very team, 2013, with the infamous Ray Allen shot, though nonetheless. Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James were with them then. It is a totally different team now. The Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Boston Celtics in 7 games that season, though nonetheless, along with Lamar Odom, Kobe B. Bryant, heart and soul of that team during that time, Pau Gasol, Derek Fisher, Sasha Vujacic, and Andrew Bynum. Phil Jackson was the head coach of the team, though nonetheless, in this series, I think the Miami Heat has a very good run in bubble life. But this is all about winning championships. Real LeBron James company, though nonetheless, to pick Los Angeles Lakers in 5. Game 1 yesterday, Lakers won 116-98. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic got hurt. So let me go through the stats quickly. Lakers, I think, are going to cruise in this series. Very simple. Miami had a big lead early. Then the Lakers found their rhythm. Got help. LeBron James got help. And this might be over in 4 and 5. That's not going to go longer than 5 games maybe. Jimmy Butler, 23 points, 61.5% shooting from the field. 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals. Tyler Herro, 14 points, 33.3% shooting from the field. 4 rebounds and 3 assists. Jay Crowder, 12 points, 50% shooting from the field and 2 rebounds. Anthony Davis, 34 points, 52.4% shooting from the field. 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. LeBron James, 25 points, 52.9% shooting from the field. 13 rebounds, 9 assists, and 1 steal. It didn't look like he was trying. That's just how good he is. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 13 points, 30% shooting from the field, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. All right. Doc Rivers let go as head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. Steve Ballmer informed Kawhi Leonard, Paul George of it. And it was Ballmer's decision. Now he might be the next head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, though, nonetheless. Okay. I'm going to get into a thing of the NFL quickly before I go in my preview for Week 4. Kansas City versus Baltimore game recap. LOL, LOL, LOL to the people that actually believe that Lamar Jackson's a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes is. Folks, Baltimore isn't going anywhere with him as their quarterback. I don't want to hear the BS of the Ravens roster. I want to hear none of it. It is obvious that Lamar Jackson is mocking the quarterback position and is a running back playing the quarterback position. Folks, he doesn't belong on the same level as him as in Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, or Russell Wilson. And you all are blinded if you think the Baltimore Ravens have a chance to beat them in the postseason. The Buffalo Bills, the Tennessee Titans, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a better chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs than the Baltimore Ravens do. I don't think the New England Patriots do, because I don't think they're deep enough with Cam Newton, though, nonetheless. Patrick Mahomes completed 31 of 42 passes for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns, rushed for 26 yards and 4 carries in the score. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 64 yards rushing on 20 carries, 5 receptions for 70 yards receiving. Travis Kelce, 6 for 87. Mecole Hardman Jr., 4 for 81 and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 5 for 77 and a touchdown. Rushed for 25 yards on 2 carries, though, nonetheless. Eric Fisher also caught a 1-yard touchdown pass from Patrick Mahomes in the third quarter, though, nonetheless. Lamar Jackson completed 15 of 28 for 97 yards and 1 touchdown. Also rushed for 83 yards on 9 carries, though, nonetheless. Gus Edwards rushed for 39 yards on 4 carries. Mark Ingram II rushed for 30 yards and 7 carries. J.K. Dobbins rushed for 6 yards on 1 carry and caught 4 passes for 38 yards receiving. Mark Andrews caught 2 passes for 22 yards receiving. Marquise Brown caught 2 passes for 13 yards receiving. Devin Duvernay also returned a kickoff 93 yards for a touchdown in the second quarter. And realistically, the 13-10 deficit was the closest this team ever got in this game, though, nonetheless. He also caught 2 passes for 7 yards receiving, though, nonetheless. Devin Duvernay is the rookie from the University of Texas, has a lot of potential. And this is why I don't want to hear the excuse of the Ravens roster. None. Lamar Jackson has everything. Everything. He is the fault. He is the reason this team will not win the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear another word about Lamar Jackson doesn't have enough help. He can't throw the dang football 20 yards outside the numbers. He said the Tennessee Titans, it was a similar game plan. Well, good, because you can't throw the ball. And man, I'm telling you, they'll win 10 games and obviously make the playoffs. You're gonna choke again. You're gonna choke again in the playoffs. That's why I don't have you going anywhere. You're gonna realize 2 years from now we need a quarterback. I know you won MVP. Yeah. I'm telling you, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in that draft class. And I don't care what anyone tells me. And the Baltimore Ravens do not belong on the same field as the Kansas City Chiefs do. All right. Though nonetheless, let's go into week 4 my NFL preview. Once again, I was on a roll in my week 3 picks. I went 13-2-1 last week. My overall record so far this season is 33-14-1. So let's get on a roll once again here, though nonetheless. Here we go. Denver Broncos and the New York Jets. Yeah, I know I might have overreacted to that, but folks, that's what I call an absolute snooze fest for Thursday Night Football tonight. This is going to be the snooze fest of the weekend, and this game's going to feel like the pain and the torture of the 2020 season, though, nonetheless. The freaking quarterback matchup tonight is Brett Rypien versus Sam Darnold. Coffin snooze fest here, though nonetheless, Vic Fangio and Adam Gase are two terrible head coaches, and this could be Gase's last game with them, though nonetheless. Jeff Driscoll is on the bench for the Denver Broncos, and it is obvious that they missed Drew Lock. If they had Drew Lock, this would be a slam dunk. That would take the Denver Broncos. However, because I have no idea who this Brett Rypien quarterback really is for the Denver Broncos, that Sam Darnold has to be better, right? So, I'm going to take the New York Jets. I have a feeling that the New York Jets will win this game by default by a score of 20-17. Game of the week. It was going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans, but because of the postponement, I had to choose another game at the last second to be my game of the week. So the game of the week for week number 4 will be the New England Patriots against the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a closer game than people anticipate. Cam Newton will put the Kansas City Chiefs defense on its heels, and Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels will have a game plan. Patrick Mahomes will have the New England Patriots on its heels as well. Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy will have a solid game plan as well, though nonetheless. Reid gave the respect to Belichick and Cam Newton and McDaniels, and vice versa with Belichick and Mahomes and Reid and Bieniemy. But the main difference, it is about execution and discipline in this game. But the main difference in this game is going to be the speed on the outside for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the New England Patriots don't have that. Mecole Hardman Jr. and Tyreek Hill on the outside versus Julian Edelman and Damian Byrne on the outside. Hardman Jr. can play in the slot on the outside. Hill's more on the outside, but he can play in the slot as well. Edelman's more of a slot than an outside guy. Byrne is more of an outside than a slot, but he could also go up in the slot. We'll see. I love, as they say, checkers, and chess. Whatever you want to call this game today. Not today, on Sunday afternoon. So, we'll see the battle of Belichick, Newton, McDaniels, and then Reid Bieniemy Mahomes. The Kansas City Chiefs will win this game over the New England Patriots by a final score of 37-30. Upset special of the week. The Cleveland Browns versus Dallas Cowboys game. The Cleveland Browns have looked decent the last 2 weeks, but the Dallas Cowboys offense is also legit though nonetheless. Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt for Cleveland, and Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard will for Dallas will both have their track shoes on and ready to go though nonetheless. Kevin Stefanski and Mike McCarthy is a very underrated coaching matchup. This will be close and be tight in the fourth quarter. But Dak Prescott will make more big plays than Baker Mayfield. Though nonetheless, the Dallas Cowboys will take down the Cleveland Browns in an upset by a final score of 25-21. Biggest blowout of the week. New York Giants versus the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams are a lot better than I thought, and the New York Giants are a lot worse than I thought. Jared Goff will sling it to whomever he wants to this weekend, and Daniel Jones will be met by Aaron Donald. Oh, so very interestingly enough, I was on my ESPN Yahoo this morning. Because I had the Pittsburgh Steelers and Tennessee Titans defense, I had to go pick up a defense. Happens to know, no one in the ESPN league that I played had the Los Angeles Rams fantasy defense, so I picked them up for the Tennessee Titans because I needed a defense this week. In the league because of the Pittsburgh Steelers, versus the Tennessee Titans. So maybe they'll rack up a ton of fantasy points. Oh, good luck for the Giants offensive line trying to block that interior of Aaron Donald and other players. Okay. Joe Judge will be outcoached big time by Sean McVay. This game is going to be over by halftime, and the New York Giants have no good defensive players other than James Bradbury, though, nonetheless. The Los Angeles Rams will win this game over the New York Giants by a final score of 41-14, and there was a blowout 2 years ago at MetLife Stadium, and that was bad, and it's going to be just as bad when the Los Angeles Rams beat the New York Giants 41-14. Yeah, it'll be a final score of 41-14. Next up, Baltimore Ravens versus the Washington football team. This is the battle of the Baltimore-Washington Parkway and Beltway, though, nonetheless. You could also take I-95 from M&T Bank Stadium, Baltimore, Maryland, to Landover, Maryland, though, nonetheless. Lamar Jackson and Dwayne Haskins will look to have big games after being put on notice last weekend. Mark Ingram II and Antonio Gibson are beasts in the backfield for their respective teams. The difference in this game will be Mark Andrews over Logan Thomas at the tight end position. This will be closer than people anticipate, and Calais Campbell and Chase Young, he has an injury to the groin, though, nonetheless, will both be ready to go for each defense, though, nonetheless. The Baltimore Ravens will defeat the Washington football team by a final score of 23-17. Use promo code 12OC Sports, all caps, for deposit bonus up to $1,000 from my bookie. Next up is the Los Angeles Chargers against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Los Angeles Chargers have defeated themselves in the last 2 weeks, and it won't get any easier on the road against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Los Angeles Chargers seem to find a way to lose with grace and class in a lot of ways. They just invent new ways to lose. And I'm sure that the Tampa Bay Lightning will be at that game Sunday with the Stanley Cup, the Conn Smythe Trophy, amongst other things. Tom Brady and the offense is starting to heat up. Yeah, Tom Brady and the offense is starting to heat up. Mike Evans will play this weekend. Chris Godwin is not expected to play this weekend. I had him down on my script here. So he is not expected to play. Chris Godwin is not expected to play this weekend for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sorry, I feel like a broken record. Sheesh. Scotty Miller, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, and Leonard Fournette are also key pieces on the offense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As for the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert will look to continue growing at the quarterback position as a rookie. Remember, he was the 6th overall pick out of the University of Oregon. Head coach Anthony Lynn has to let him keep playing. You can't go back to Tyrod Taylor. Once you put a guy in, I know it's the unforeseen circumstance with the punctured lung and then the hospitalization. I get it. But you have to let this kid grow. And then Austin Eckler in the backfield, Joshua Kelly, he's also in the backfield, and Keenan Allen at wide receiver also having some chemistry together with each other, though nonetheless, you also might need Mike Williams and Hunter Henry to get some receptions. Anthony Lynn's bunch will do just enough to lose, and Bruce Arians' bunch will do just enough to win, though nonetheless. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will win this game over the Los Angeles Chargers by a final score of 28-17. Seattle Seahawks versus the Miami Dolphins. Russell Wilson is playing at a high level, and Ryan Fitzpatrick wants to have Miami take down Seattle for the first time this season, but this game will be another painful learning experience for the Dolphins and Brian Flores' bunch. Pete Carroll's bunch doesn't have a great defense at all. However, this game is going to come down to the wire, but the Seattle Seahawks will find a way to come out on top in this one. Though nonetheless, the Seattle Seahawks will win this game over the Miami Dolphins by a final score of 34-31. Minnesota Vikings versus the Houston Texans. The battle of the 0-3 squads and their playoff hopes are all but on life support at this point, though nonetheless. Kirk Cousins has been awful, but he rediscovered himself last week. Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson will be good, and so will Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith Jr., and Adam Thielen. As for the Houston Texans, will Deshaun Watson torch the Minnesota Vikings defense, or will the defense stand up? Minnesota's going to do more good things in this game than Houston, though, nonetheless. I say that because I know it's about 0-3 teams. I just think, yeah, I know the first 3 games that the Houston Texans lost are all playoff teams, but I think Bill Bryan's in a boatload of trouble. And I think Mike Zimmer's I think the NFC's weaker than the AFC is. So I think that if the Vikings win this game, because of the NFC being a little bit weaker than the AFC, I think the Vikings can make. I just think the Vikings need one win, then I think it could start snowballing for them. And they won last week, I'd be like, oh, and they'd be like, oh, we could, okay. I just think they need to win this game this week. Then I think they can build confidence. That's what I think the Vikings just need. So, the Minnesota Vikings will win this game over the Houston Texans by a score of 38-28. New Orleans Saints versus the Detroit Lions. Drew Brees seems to have no pop left in his throws. This team isn't the same, and they are taking a step back. Drew Brees continues to get outdueled and will potentially get outdueled again this weekend against Matthew Stafford. Got outdueled last week against Aaron Rodgers. That was Brees, not Stafford. He led them to their first win against the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. However, the Saints have a little bit better of a team, but sound the alarm and panic button, though, nonetheless. If they lose, though, nonetheless. Not having Michael Thomas line up is killing his team offensively. Detroit could play well, just enough to lose, and how will quarterback Jeffrey Okuda do against Emmanuel Sanders, some other players, though, nonetheless. The New Orleans Saints will win this game over the Detroit Lions by a score of 24-21. Jacksonville Jaguars against the Cincinnati Bengals. This game could be a snooze fest or a shootout. Gardner Minshew II had a bad week last week, and he will be better this week against the bad Cincinnati Bengals defense. Minshew II is a good leader. He does a lot of things with grace and class, and I expect him to have a bounce-back week. Joe Burrow will be great again, but his offensive line protection is freaking awful, and the culture change hasn't happened yet, though, nonetheless, in Cincinnati, though, nonetheless. And I expect some guys, maybe like Keelan Kolovika, Chenault, Tyler Eifert. James Robinson in their backfield is actually pretty good for Jacksonville. Came from an FCS or D2 school. As for the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Mixon, AJ Green's kind of a little bit washed up. And you have some other key players. And then so T. Higgins, maybe get him more involved in the offense. You don't have John Ross the third. And then Tyler Boyd, he's pretty good. Giovanni Bernard's also pretty good. I think Tyler Boyd's Burrow's reliable option. And the Jacksonville Jaguars will take down the Cincinnati Bengals in this game by a score of 30-27. Indianapolis Colts versus the Chicago Bears. This is going to be a very interesting game. This is only a 3-hour drive from each other, though, nonetheless. This game has the potential to be a shootout. Frank Wright and Matt Nagy used to be very good offensive coordinators. I wouldn't expect much defense in this game. Phillip Rivers and Nick Foles will air it out. Foles takes over for Mitchell Trubisky, who got benched last week against the Atlanta Falcons, and Foles led them to a comeback victory and looked sharper on those drives. Rivers doesn't have to worry about Jacoby Brissett. That was the defense that really, I believe they carried. He got carried last week. So, all right. I think Foles is a little bit better than Rivers. T.Y. Hilton, Allen Robinson II will also be solid wide receiver battle. Khalil Mack and the Bears defensive front will do a little bit more than DeForest Buckner and the Colts defensive front. The Chicago Bears will take down the Indianapolis Colts in this game by a score of 34-28. Arizona Cardinals against the Carolina Panthers. This is going to be another interesting battle. If the Arizona Cardinals lose this game, then they will be back where they belong and proven pretenders. This is a game they can't lose if they want to make it to the playoffs. And they should have won last week against the Detroit Lions. Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater. Matt Rule and Cliff Kingsbury used to coach at the college level, and some people will tell you that Rule is a better coach than Kingsbury is. With not having Christian McCaffrey last weekend, Mike Davis did a good job in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey sidelined. However, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake, and Larry Fitzgerald could have big days, though, nonetheless. The Arizona Cardinals will win this game over the Carolina Panthers by a final score of 31-21. The Buffalo Bills versus the Vegas Raiders. Okay. The Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen are buzzing, and the Vegas Raiders and Derek Carr are about to fall off a cliff. Buffalo may be one of the best teams in the NFL, and Vegas isn't as hot as we think they are. Stephon Diggs will be a big-time difference in this game, and Henry Ruggs III will be held in check as well. Josh Jacobs is a better running back for the Vegas Raiders than Devin Singletary is for the Buffalo Bills. But I don't think the run game is really going to make much of a really big of a difference in this game. Also, I think Sean McDermott is going to outcoach John Gruden probably by the fourth quarter. I think those are obviously some key components when it comes to these football games. And the fact that we're all going to be a quarter of the way through the season, is crazy. A lot of things have been done with grace and class so far. The Buffalo Bills will win this game over the Vegas Raiders by a final score of 38-24. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the San Francisco 49ers. Carson Wentz is going to get beat up by a ferocious San Francisco 49ers defensive front. Only Dwayne Haskins and Sam Darnold have been worse this year than Carson Wentz. That's it. And I'm surprised that Doug Peterson has not decided to start Jalen Hurts yet at quarterback. And that Eagles schedule, have you seen their schedule? Oh, it's going to be tough for the next few games. You better believe that the Eagles have to win this one. Wentz, the RP Hard Soul of the Philadelphia Eagles, he's just got to figure out things. If he doesn't figure out things, then he's going to be benched. I would maybe expect to see more Jalen Hurts, and it doesn't matter who's going to start for the San Francisco 49ers this weekend. Although I believe Wentz is going down the Derrick Rose path, Nick Mullins or Jimmy Garoppolo will get the job done at quarterback this week, and they are both better than Carson Wentz is right now, though nonetheless. Jalen Reagor is blood on the outside in the slot, and Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson is too. Brandon Ayuk, very good rookie receiver. Wait till they get Deebo Samuel and some other receivers back. George Kittle's expected back on Sunday at tight end for the 49ers. Oh, and Rob Dwelly will also probably see some targets as well at tight end. And those are some solid receiving options for San Francisco, though nonetheless. The San Francisco 49ers will win this game over the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 38-20. Atlanta Falcons versus the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan will duel it out. But when will the Falcons blow the lead against the Packers? Dan Quinn should be fired if Atlanta loses again. Matt LaFleur is a much better coach for Green Bay. I mean, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, Al Lazar, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Oh, Robert Tonyan has become a very underrated target at tight end for Aaron Rodgers. I actually happened to pick him up in my Yahoo Fantasy League. Maybe that could be a sleeper for me going forward. Maybe if he has another good game, maybe people across the leagues will be like, he was 2% owned in Yahoo leagues. 2%. That might go up after this week if he has another big game. As for the Falcons, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, and Hayden Hurst. And you got Ito Smith and Todd Gurley II in the backfield. Now I'm going to say this. I don't know who posted something about Julio Jones maybe getting New England Patriots, but I'm not buying that smoke 1 second. Folks, watch out for those fake accounts. Or even if they're not fake accounts, reliable accounts, watch out for that stuff anyways. In all reality, the Green Bay Packers, although the Atlanta Falcons does has Green Bay's number, I am picking the Green Bay Packers will win this game over the Atlanta Falcons by a final score of the Green Bay Packers will win this game over the Atlanta Falcons by a final score of 41-25. All right, folks, it's that time of the week again that I do a lot of these standings with grace and class. Folks, it's time for my top 10 teams entering week 4 of the NFL season. The 10th best team in the NFL headed into week 4. Number 10, the Chicago Bears, who were not ranked last week. Nick Foles is going to have this team stretch the field for Nagy's bunch. Allen Robinson is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. And I think this team could really make the playoffs. It was just a matter of quarterback play. I didn't have him in the playoffs at the beginning of the year. Number 9, San Francisco 49ers. I didn't have them in last week, but they're back this week. The San Francisco 49ers, they beat a lowless 36-9 New York Giants team. But folks, they're very deep. That game showed how deep they are because they had so many injuries. Nick Bosa, Richard Sherman, Dre Greenlaw. Dude, that just shows you how deep the Niners are. And that's a credit to head coach Kyle Shanahan and general manager John Lynch. Number 8. San Francisco was not ranked last week. Number 8. Seattle Seahawks. They were in the top 5 last week, but I had them dropped because I'm not sold on the defense. I think they're too Russell Wilson dependent. That's what I think the problem with the Seattle Seahawks are. So they're only at number 8. Number 7. Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, MVP caliber player. It's not even close. And it's not even close how good Josh Allen has been. He's in the MVP class. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think he's fallen off a cliff. You got to give credit where credit's due. You got to give credit where credit's due. Number 6. Buffalo is around the same spot as last week. Number 6. The Baltimore Ravens. They dropped from the number 2 slot. Folks, I don't know. I know the roster's good, but Lamar Jackson's the reason why they're number 6. I know you all want to crack him up as this great quarterback. And as I've said, it's not the roster, it's him. Roster's not holding him back. He's the one that's holding him back. You can only go so far. I personally think this is, I hate to break it, this might be their ceiling, the Ravens, with them. I think they need a different quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That's just my opinion. I'll tell you, Joe Flacco will win with this team. Joe Flacco would absolutely win with this team. Joe Flacco would absolutely win a Super Bowl with this team. And I know you probably all want to get on me right now for it. But did Joe Flacco have this great roster in 2013? No. Yeah, I know he had Anquan Bolden and Torrey Smith and Ray Rice and Bernard Pierce and Dennis Pitta, backfield tight end, I get it. But that defense was awful. Ray Lewis and everyone in the back prime of their career. Joe Flacco would absolutely win a Super Bowl with this team. Number 5, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They move up a spot. I think Tom Brady and the offense is finally starting to click. Bruce Arians, a very underrated head coach. He's fun, but he also gives no business either. Number 4, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, I know they've beaten a combined 0-9 teams, but there's an eye test I like about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Make timely plays. Ben Roethlisberger's healthy. They have a good front 7. They're well coached by Mike Tomlin. And they play for one another. That's the eye test I like with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And they move up it from number 8 or 7 to number 4. Number 3, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers slinging it out right now. With the Green Bay Packers, Matt LaFleur, they got a ground game. Aaron Jones is a legit running back. Number 2, the Tennessee Titans. And I know what y'all gonna say to me right now. Well, they barely just beat the Minnesota Vikings. Folks, this is the same thing as I just said with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The eye test. They win close games. They're good enough on defense to make the timely play to win the game. Very good special teams. Steven Gostkowski just needed a preseason. Okay? And then you got Ryan Tannehill could air it out. Mike Vrabel's a good head coach. Derrick Henry in the backfield. Jadeveon Clowney, Jeffrey Simmons, Kevin Byard. And you got Christian Fulton who's learning. And then Adoree Jackson's hurt, and they got some key players hurt. Number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. I don't need to say more. They were number 1 last week. So quickly, number 10, Chicago Bears. Number 9, San Francisco 49ers. Number 8, Seattle Seahawks. Number 7, Buffalo Bills. Number 6, Baltimore Ravens. Number 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 4, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 3, Green Bay Packers. Number 2, Tennessee Titans. Number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. I forgot my bold predictions, so here we go quickly. For my bold predictions this week, number 1, there will be no touchdown score in Denver versus New York. Number 2, Derrick Henry gets contained, but you could scratch that. My second bold prediction is Cam Newton has more rushing yards than Patrick Mahomes. Number 3, Matthew Stafford doubles Drew Brees' output. Number 4, New England has more minutes than Kansas City in time possession, but the Chiefs still win, though. Number 5, Green Bay scores 50 to 60 points against Atlanta, though, nonetheless. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of time here. Thanks for tuning in Glenn's Dynamic Sports Corner. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend as well, though, nonetheless. On Monday, I will be going over some MLB, ALDS, and NLDS preview, NBA talk, NBA Finals talk, NHL offseason, NFL Week 4 recap, amongst other things. Use promo code 12OZ Sports. All cash with deposit bonus for up to $1,000 from my bookie.